Hello everyone, it is Freedom Dove here. I thought I would take this opportunity while I'm out on a camping trip to give you a full tour of my rig. And this is a 2005 Suburban, which has been upgraded by a company called Suboverland from Twin Falls, Idaho. And I drove out there and picked this up and brought it back to Indiana. Right now I'm in Michigan for the M25. So up top I put the biggest thule that I could get. That is all of my extra storage that does not fit down here. So I've got tools of all sorts. I have outdoor cooking equipment like my oven, my little Coleman oven. I've got extra paper towel and toilet paper and Kleenex. My awning stuff is up there, my outdoor rugs. And see, on the outside, I put this on. This is the one-way film you're not supposed to be able to see in, and it does a pretty good job. And I cannot see out this back window, so I do have a little backup camera there that I had to install. And so that does do a pretty good job to keep people from looking in there. And then I did the side windows back here because you could see in there. Before I did that, you could see in there and see my woodworking and everything, and I really didn't want that. So both sides have that on there. And I also put these rain protectors on all four windows. And then I put this WeatherTech bug deflector on. And what Suboverland did was they go through and they check all the fluids and they make sure everything's up to standard, and then they lift it, and then they put these big off-roading 10-ply tires on. So that's what they did, and I got the base model, which means they did not do any of the woodworking. Everything that is done in here was done by me, and with the help of my ex-husband. He did all the cutting of the wood and everything because I don't like to use saws. So they took all the seats out except for the passenger seat that was in here when I drove home, and I took that out when I got home. I also have done Herculiner down here, from here all the way down, even underneath. That's all got Herculiner on it. It's kind of thin, so I bought some rattle can to do some touch up and spray over that. And so my bed is right here. It runs from the dashboard all the way here to the back. This is where the second row seating should be, is right here. And let me show you the inside first. Grady did put LED lights in the fog lights for me. This is the driver's seat. I am in driving mode right now, so this is exactly what it looks like when I'm driving. Everything's strapped down, everything's anchored. I do have, that's the backup camera that I told you about. I did have a rear view mirror backup camera that also recorded, but the rear view mirror fell down, and I re-glued it up there probably 5 times, and it kept falling down. And the last time it actually took a little chunk of glass, so I no longer can have a rear view mirror up there. I kept the center console in, and I put the sheepskin cover in here and this. And then when I get parked somewhere, this is my juggling act. This is the first part of my juggling act. This is an old backpack from my sons that I have USB fans in, and a couple solar lights, and also my window screens that I made. And I'll show you those in here in a second. So those are the bug screens that I made. So I have to take all this out. This is my laundry bag that has my dirty laundry in it. And So when I am parked at night, all that stuff just goes right over here. This is my WeatherTech screen for the front window. And I'll post some pictures here at the end of the video to show you some of this stuff, how it looks when I am actually camped or mooch docking. And so I put that up. Plus I have another sunscreen. It's one of those pop-up ones. So I actually put two sunscreens up in the front windshield when I'm parked. And then back here again, there are no seats. This is my main 12-volt compressor fridge, which is not being used as a compressor fridge right now because I realized on a trip this summer, it was like 100 degrees and really, really humid, that I do not have enough power if it's raining, and it happened to be raining each day I was there, and so I was not able to get enough solar gain to run this refrigerator plus the one in the back, which I'll get ready to show you here in a little bit. So right now this is being used as a cooler. I have 16-ounce square bottles. They were empty. I ordered them like that. I filled them with water, and I keep 15 of them in my freezer, which is back there, and then 15 of them are in here. And about once a day or every other day, depending on how hot it is, I take those 15 that are melting, you know, slowly melting, and I replace them with the 15 that are frozen. So every day, every other day, I have to do the swap, but at least that means I don't have to have this running, and because it produces a lot of heat too. This is my supplement box. I just have all my supplements in, and I just keep both of these covered with towels to keep the sun off of it. I have a paper towel that's anchored right here so it doesn't fly away when I'm driving. This build took 6 sheets of plywood, and that includes the floor, because the floor was very uneven when we took all the seats out and everything, and I didn't want to have to work with that. So we built up a floor for that, and I just have a rug here for my comfort that you can see right there. It's all built out, and there's wood framing underneath it, all at different levels, just to make it all level up here at the top. And those are just some emergency lights. This is a mesh screen for my sunroof. I do have a sunroof. That one I did not make. I bought that one, but the other ones I did make. These are the insulated bags that I use to do the transfer of the frozen bottles. And so the whole purpose of this build was I wanted to be able to access everything from in here. Like if it was raining for a day and I could not get outside to do anything, I wanted to be able to do everything from in here, including eating, going to the bathroom, sleeping, changing my clothes, absolutely everything. So that is the whole idea around this whole design. So that's what I can do. This is a little pad that I sit on right there. I usually sit right here. This is a lowered place, so you can kind of see that that's stepped up. So this is my low area. This is the only square footage that I have to be in. It's about 2 foot by 3 foot if you include that step up area. And so I just keep that cushion there, and that's where I usually sit. And sometimes I will sit on a little ladder or a little step stool, and I'll put that there and put that on top of it. But other than that, sometimes if I just want to kneel down here, I just put it here so I can kneel on it. And this is my Jackery 500. And I have another power station back here. You might not be able to see it very well. That is an Energy Apex. That is my biggest power station. And I can only run I have a 1,000 watt infrared burner, And this is the only power station that can handle it. So I have an extension cord here that's running all the way to the back, and I just plug it into this power station over there. And I also use this, I use the 12 volt plugs for my little water heater thing to make my coffee in the morning. This basket is just sitting on a little shelf or whatever. That's straddling that. And then that just has extension cords and power strips. My umbrella's in there, you know, just various stuff like that. And right here, I have my indoor trash can that I can use while I'm driving. I could just reach back here and throw something away. Other than that, I just sit right here, and it's really easy to use. This is also where I set my mouse pad and my mouse, my external mouse, when I'm using my computer. Again, this is travel mode, so you're not going to be able to see that, but I'll put pictures up at the end showing some of that. And this normally sits here when I travel, but at night I usually sit it like this because I have a light and a fan back here that does not quite reach all the way over here, so I kind of have to put the Jackery right here when I'm using it. And this is my bathroom, and I didn't want anything to shift around, so on the sides of my bed here and on the other side I have these cargo nets, and they just screw right into the bed frame, and that just keeps everything secure. It's got a little pocket so I can put stuff in there, and I just take this down. Whoa. That is my coconut coir. That's what I use for my potty, my number 2 loo. And I can get to everything in here. And it may seem like a pain in the butt, and it is, but I can actually pull out my bucket in less than a minute if I have to go to the bathroom in here. And so this is my pee station. I use 2 wide mouth canning jars, and so I have 2 of those that I use, and when they are full I empty them into this, which is just a stainless steel. It's supposed to be, you know, for water or whatever, keeping water cold, but it works perfect for dumping them into that, and then that gets full in like 3 or 4 days, and I take it into a restroom and just dump it in the toilet. And so it's kind of a juggling act to get there. This is my box of baby wipes, and so I just have to set everything to the side. These are the bags that I use in there. They are the Trail Essentials. It's the 2 system. There's one bag that goes inside the other one, and this is actually part of another toilet that I don't use anymore because I didn't like it, but I did keep the toilet ring to sit on top of this. So I just use the bag system, just like that. Put the bag down in there. I put the coconut coir in there, and then I put one of these also in there in case, you know, if I have to go pee, because you're not supposed to mix the 2. So that does a really good job, because it's hard for women to, you know, only do one thing at a time, I guess. And then these are just evaporator dehumidifiers, because the coconut coir is wet, because you have to wet it to hydrate it, and so it can draw moisture in here. So I just keep 2 of those, and they're rechargeable. You just plug them in, and then when I need to use it, I just take the bag out and put it over the thing, and then I set that on there, and I can go to the bathroom, and I put more coconut coir on top of that, and that's about, I can go probably 4 or 5 times in that before I have to throw that away. And it, again, it's a tight fit, but it does work. Normally I'm not using one hand. So that just goes back there. And I put that in there. And then I'm ready to go. And I can be ready to travel just by putting that cargo net up. Okay, so that is my bed. Again, all the seats were taken out, and this is just the base model from Suboverland. They normally will build out the back with woodworking, and they put the bed right here in the back, but I'm just one person, so I didn't need that whole area to be a bed because that would have been a waste. So that's why the bed is up here, and the frame is just a standard 2x2, and with a bunch of L brackets. Up there are the slats. Those are 1x3 slats, and I put the screws in from the bottom up so that when I'm reaching in here, my hand will not get caught on the head of the screw. So that's why it's going like that from the bottom up, and we used washers. And so it's slatted all the way down to, you know, control the moisture and everything. It's a 5-inch foam mattress that I had custom cut. It's 24 inches wide by 68 or 69 inches long, and it fits me just fine. These are my pillows. I sleep with my head down here. And then this is just a blackout curtain that I put on an old curtain rod from the house. And this is just a clip-on USB light. And so I have it velcroed here to the side so that it doesn't fly open when I'm driving. So I just unvelcro that and just push it all the way down here. And then this is my closet. So these just barely fit. I was very lucky to find these. They're just the cardboard covered in fabric kind of thing, and they're packing cubes. I don't always have them, my clothes, in packing cubes, but it's kind of a seasonal on and off thing. So there's 2 of these going all the way back, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you or not because it's very crowded in here. Let's see. Oh boy. It is a very tight fit. So there's that. It does have a divider that you can put in there, and it has 2 sections, or you can take it out. In this case, I have taken out. So there's one back there. It goes all the way back. I've got my towels in there. So it's a pretty deep cavity. And then I put these pieces of wood. I glued those on to keep them from sliding out. And then there's 2 more up here as, you know, long sleeve shirts and leggings and all that kind of stuff. Hold on, let me put this back so I can show you this other stuff. Okay, so there's the clothing section, and then this is it's a small kitchen section, and here I have my daily dishes. So my coffee cup and silverware, my knife, you know, more cups and stuff like that. This is a light that I hang up, a travel mug, and then under these, that's my Fiesta ware big platter, and I've got another small plate and a bowl under there. So these are pretty much the only dishes that I have for, you know, eating off of. I do have cookware, but as far as eating, those are pretty much it. And then back behind that is another smaller bin. It's a little bit smaller. It's not too bad. You can see that it is not quite as wide as the gray ones. And I have room on the sides of both of these for stuff, so that is just a journal. And then I've got some trash bags and stuff back there. But then I pull this one out, and that is like my personal care stuff. So my shower stuff, my bar soaps, the stuff to brush my teeth, my nail clippers, my shaver, my razor, mirror, just all the personal care product stuff. And then up here is food. I've got crackers, cereal, chips. This is, I do my dishes without, I don't have a sink or anything. I don't have any running water in that respect. So I use water and vodka for sterilizing. And I think I've done a video about how I do that. And so I drink instant coffee. It makes my life easier. So I keep that up there with my little jar of sugar. And I have a couple more dishes up there for right now. And when I'm in parked mode, I will just keep these hanging here because I use them, quite often. And again, I just have books and stuff kind of filling the space that was left over. Behind this one is another one that size, and it just has my underwear and my socks, and so it goes all the way to the back. Let me put you down again so I can put this one away. Whoops, hold on. Going for a ride. It is kind of hard to get these in, especially this one, because it's pretty heavy. It's got all my dishes in it. So that one is actually kind of hard to get out. And then this is the step stool I was telling you about. I can just set it up here. It folds out. Back here behind my bed, I just have shoes. My boots are back there. My heating pad is back there. And these are made with the leftover scraps of wood from, building all of this. I had quite a bit of leftover wood, and I originally bought these to exclusively go right down here. And then after I bought them, I realized that I didn't take into account that this bed was going to be here. So I can't fit these in these two slots because of that. And so I had to figure out some other way to have storage. And so I built these boxes, me and my ex-husband built these boxes with all the leftover scraps. So this is how I keep everything secure. It's just that weave, like backpack stuff with the buckles. So I did all that, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but I screwed them into the right there. So they're all screwed in to the wood, and I just snap those buckles when I'm getting ready to drive. This is a USB light. It's on a clamp, and I can move it up or down. I can move it out of the way, and that's why I have to have my jackery over here because of the cable. So I take collagen, I keep that there as a spacer. But there's 5 of these boxes. There's one great big one here that has stuff for my business. A smaller one here. There's 2 here, 1 here, and then there's one more way back there. And then over here, I just have more filler stuff. Books. I use books as filler for a lot of things. And then I've got back here behind that is another one of these. And I just, again, use that webbing, and I cut off pieces and I just screwed them straight into there, and that's my handles, so that I can move those around and everything. So there's that. And then right here is my indoor drawer. Well, first there is this this shelf or sliding table or whatever you want to call it, but this is a 1-inch pine board that I polyurethaned, and I attached these straps of leather to it to give me a handle to pull it out, and I can pull it all the way out and use that when I'm standing here or sitting there. I can just pull it out partially. Most of the time I'll just pull it out a little bit and have my cup of coffee and maybe my ashtray sitting there or whatever. And that actually goes out the other end too. I'll show you that here in a second. But this is my indoor drawer. And again, we built all this ourselves. So there's a heavy duty magnet right there. And there's the plate. And this is just my incidentals. I've got my wine, I roll my own organic cigarettes, so that's all that stuff. This is my drinking water that I filter my drinking water into. And so again, I can do anything in here. I've got everything to drink regular water. This is a 12-volt water heater, so I can heat up my water for my instant coffee right in here. And I just plug that into my power station and set that on there. And it heats water in about 10 minutes. So this is a clock that I will usually put up there on my dashboard when I'm parked. And then that's my office bag. It's got scissors and tape and all my pens and pencils and markers and stuff like that. And that's just a cutting board that I can lay across here. If I'm rolling my cigarettes up here, I can just lay that across there. And up there is all of my seasonal clothes, again in packing cubes. That red thing is inflatable cushion to, like if I'm at a picnic table or anything like that. And back here, it's just my camera bag, and that's a filing box. I keep my manuals, my paperwork, more books, and all that. It's all quite shoved back in there. My boots are back there, my winter boots. Also up there, I have a little miniature USB powered vacuum, and I've got a pop-up tent and a pop-up shower tent as well. The pop-up tent is just for like reserving a campsite if I'm gotta walk away from it or drive away from it to go into town or anything like that. All right, so let me show you the other side. Again, I have these cargo nets up here just so that when I open the door, nothing falls out. And this is the baby bumper stuff you put over the edges of your coffee table. I put this on both sides of my bed so that when I'm in there and I'm leaning up against the bed, I'm not hurting my back, because that is a metal rail right up there, and it's that L bracket, so it was quite uncomfortable. And I thought since I was doing the inside, I would just go ahead and do this outside edge too. And then when I'm parked somewhere, I can take that down. This is just my MP3 player and a power bank. And this is my Zero water pitcher. I do have 6 of these 2.5 gallon jugs, so I did have a lot more, but I can only fit 4 of them now that I have an engraver. That's the power station I use for my engraver. So when I first did this build, I did not have that engraver, so I actually had to make room for it. Sorry, I don't know why it's not going in focus. But anyways, I have 4 of these. It's 2 deep. That's my laptop bag. This is my bug out bag, kind of. It's got everything I need in it for emergencies, like my personal locator beacon, ways to start fire, ways to filter water. You know, I've got tarps in here. I have a NOAA weather station in here. It's very heavy because it's very full. I have knives, you know, everything else. And that's a water bottle that fits in that other side pocket there. Back there is my first aid kit. That is my main one. I do also have a small first aid kit in here. That is my jack. Right there is my air compressor for these big tires. And that is just a sunscreen that goes on the outside of the windshield. And then these are my window covers. I made them with blackout fabric. They were blackout curtains. And so I just attached Velcro to it. It's a sticky back Velcro. And then up here, this is regular Velcro. And I sewed it into the headliner. I'm not sure if you can see all the stitching, but that was a chore. I had to hand stitch all that in with really, really heavy duty needle because I had to go through the headliner. This is my twinkle lights. They go all the way around. They actually wrap around twice. And then the cord comes out right here under my mat. I bought this and put it in. And when I'm traveling, I keep that under there. And at night, when I'm parked, I just plug a little power bank into it and can use that. And that turns on my twinkle lights. And so yeah, I put the Velcro all the way across and then down both sides. And I went down this column and right here and right here. And so at night I just come out here and I put those up and I close the door. And I did put these windscreens on, or rain shield, and so I can keep my window down that much on all four windows. And then this is the back of the bed. Actually, this is where I sleep. That's where my head is. And this is just notebooks and labels and stuff. That's my little laser engraver. This is just a crate of all my cables and stuff. Each bag is for a power station. So that's one power station, that's another. And then I got a couple smaller ones, my Jackery one. I got some extra lighting. And then this is my coconut coir setup. This is what the coconut coir looks like before I add water and hydrate it. And so this is just an extra thing, and I keep my little shovel and my little rake thing because you have to, you know, break it up as you're rehydrating it. And this is my extension cord that I use when I'm mooch docking, which I am doing right now. And it runs all the way to the back for my fridge freezer back there. And then I take this and I put it out the window, and I'll roll the window up and just have it coming out. Again, I'll add some pictures at the end to show you what it looks like. And there's my window cover for this side. Again, just up all the way and then all the way across. That is my flag, because when I bought this, it had one of those DVD players in it, and I was always hitting my head on it, and I was never going to use it, so I ripped that out, and it left two great big gaping holes, and so I had to put something up there to cover it. So I filled in the holes, and then I took that no-sew heat and bond or whatever, and I applied it to this, and then I sat there with an iron upside down and applied that. So that's what's on my headliner to cover up those holes. And so basically the whole idea of me doing it this way was because I have a clam quick set shelter, and I needed to have a place to store that where I could easily get to it, because I was not able to get it up on my roof. It's too heavy. And so this is the only good place that I found for it. And it's really long. It goes from here all the way to the front where my bed starts. And so this whole cavity is empty from back all the way to the front. So I just have my clam, a couple tables, a couple chairs. I have that white box is a Boundless Breeze 12-volt fan to use inside the clam shelter. That's a ground tarp. This is my shower and laundry bucket. So I have one of those USB pumps that you put down in the water, and it's got a shower head for it. So I've got this bucket, and there's a smaller bucket inside of there, and I just keep all my shower stuff in there, my shower shoes and bath mat and all that kind of stuff, and some soap. And then back here is my solar panels. I have 2 big ones for my 2 big power stations, and then I have a couple smaller ones. This is a bug screen that I'll give you a picture at the end. It covers this whole tailgate area, so that's been real nice. And I just have a hammock. This is my telescoping ladder that I use to get in my Thule box. This is my extension cord that I snake back here and plug in when I am mooch docking somewhere. This is a fridge freezer combo. It is both. There's 2 sides to it, and this one is powered. The other one is not powered, again because I don't quite have enough power when I'm not getting any solar gain. So I've got a latch right here. I lock it. It's on 2 sets of slides, and it pulls out. They're full extension, so you can see it's quite big. It's a 52 quart. I did the Reflectix on it. I just put double-sided tape down, and then I attached the Reflectix to it, and I cut out holes on all 3 sides for the ventilation. And I kind of tucked it in here into the back. And then this is the refrigerator side, and that is the freezer side. The freezer side is bigger. And when you set it for one, the other one automatically adjusts. So you can't use this as all freezer or all refrigerator. It is genuinely a dual zone, and that's it. So my water bottles that I keep frozen are in there. And that's just the spillover. My refrigerator is, just stuff that I don't have room for up front. Stuff that I use for cooking. I've got my butter and everything down in there. And it may seem like a little bit of overkill, but I make personal care products, so I need extra refrigerator space to store some of my products and some of my ingredients. This is just a extra blackout curtain that I had. I keep it over here just to cover my power station, and this to make sure there's no extra sun getting in. Plus the power station has lights that are on at night, and it's pretty bright, and you can see them even with that screen on there. So that is my Montech power station, and this is, actually I had it unstrapped, but when I am plugged into a house, I have to open that end. There's another trap door right there, you see that? So when I'm using the 120 volt for anything, I have to open that door because there's a fan that goes all the way to the back. So I'll open that door, and that makes it so that it's just kind of sitting there like that, and that gets plugged into there. But when I'm driving, I have a 12 volt plug there, and so this is the cord for that. So I'll start my rig, and then I come back here and I plug that in, and then I can charge my power station while I'm driving. But other than that, when I'm driving and I'm only using the 12 volt, that's when I strap it in. Again, I have straps on almost everything. I have a way to anchor pretty much everything. And then this is pretty much this whole back area is my kitchen. So I don't cook on the inside, I just have snacky snacks in there. So if I want to do any kind of cooking, it gets done out here or in my clam. And so this is just my pantry. I've got canned food and another light back here, and just various types of food. I've got butane all the way in the back. I've got 4 cans of that. I've got nitrile gloves, aluminum foil, just basic kitchen stuff. This is another pantry, so you can see that these are the same ones that you saw in the front, and because they wouldn't fit, they fit perfectly back here. So everything, I had to be real flexible when I was doing this build. It did take quite a while to do it as well. This is my outdoor trash can that I can use here, or I can take it out, put it by or in my clam or on a picnic table, whatever. This is just an old shower curtain that I use as a spacer, and I keep it back here because sometimes the sun, I have this open and the sun is shining in this way, and I want to be standing here cooking. So I just take that and I wrap it around, and I put magnets. I just magnet it to the tailgate, and that just provides like a sunscreen right there. And then over here is my can of utensils. I cook a lot, and I love to cook, so I couldn't go anywhere without them. This is the only thing that's not anchored, but it just kind of, you know, tucks back in there. And again, I just use that to wedge in between it so that nothing's moving around. And then these are 1-gallon glass jars that I use for part of my pantry. There's 9 deep, and I took them and wrapped them with, you know, that shelf liner, that non-skid stuff, so that they would not sit there and bang up against each other. So they're wrapped, and then I taped them down, so all 9 of them are wrapped like that. So this is sugar, flour. I've got extra spices because I buy organic spices in bulk, and I refill my little jars with them. So, and I've got a jar of pasta, and this is just a cutting board that kind of takes up that little extra wiggle space so that nothing is moving around. And right down here is that pull-out table. I can pull that out and put my stove right there, my camp stove. It actually pulls, yeah, that little red line, we marked it. So that's how far I can pull that out. That's quite a bit of space, but yeah, I normally just have it out about that far. And then this is my kitchen drawer, again with the leather straps that I made and put on there. Big magnet to keep it shut. And this is a full extension drawer on heavy duty slides. There's no locks on them, so that's why I had to put these magnets on there. This is my infrared burner, and this is the one that I can only use on that power station in the front. And I've just got a magma nesting pot and pan set. That's my cast iron griddle, knives. That's the dual fuel stove. I'm supposed to have my Instant Pot in here, but somewhere along the way, this other stuff got in there, and now I've just got to make room for my Instant Pot. It's a chef knife set, if I didn't say that already. And that's one of those wind screens that goes around your stove. And then these are just Sterilites. There's 2 of them, one on top of the other. That's hot pads, cleaning supplies, measuring spoons, measuring cups. I've got a picnic table cover right there. I've got cutting boards. I've got a splatter screen. So it's jam-packed full. So when I want to cook back here, I just take this burner and I set it up there, and then this cord goes from that power station up there that I showed you all the way back here, and I just plug that in here and turn on the apex, and I'm cooking with my infrared burner. And let me show you this real quick if I don't run out of battery. These are all the spices that I use. I'm gonna get a stink bug. Ugh. There's a lot of stink bugs here in Michigan. But when I want to get to my spices, I have to pull this out. And I just set it on this pull out thing that I just showed you. I just set it right there. And then I can get to my spices. And this is the other box that I made. And this was specific for all of my spices. So I bought these square spice jars, and I kept the packaging that they were shipped in, and that's what these spacers are. So I lined up however many I would need, and I put the spacers, and then I measured and was able to figure out the dimensions of the wood that I needed to cut. And then again with the handles, it's just that webbing stuff, and I just use those as handles. And I just keep them in alphabetical order. You know, that makes it easier for me. And that's just all the spices that I use. And the baby wipes, that's just a spacer because there was a little bit of space there, and I didn't want any wiggle room. So with those there as a spacer, there's nowhere for anything to move or shift. All right, you guys, I think that was it. If you have any questions, just write them down in the comment section. I'm sure I missed a few things. I've tried to tape this a couple times. You know me, it's real hard for me to get this all in one shot. Oh, I didn't show you my screens, but... Oh, all right, hold on. I'll show you those. Okay, so here are the screens that I made. I just bought that mesh material. It was a big package, quite a few yards of it. And then I used bias tape, and I put little round magnets every couple inches all the way around. And this was a bit of a challenge right here, and it tries to gape open. But basically it's a really good fit, and they stay on there very well. I don't drive with them on, obviously, but I do leave them on even when it's raining, and they dry out very quickly the next day. So that's the driver's side, and then this is the back, and then this is the same thing on the other side. And let me show you real quick what it looks like with the blackout curtains. Hold on. Okay, so that is my blackout curtains installed. They do a really good job at keeping the light out, and you really can't see anything when I have them up. So I just have it velcroed all the way across and down. The front windows were obviously harder because it has this weird shape, so I did have to put a safety pin there to kind of take in the excess. But that's how they look from the outside. And when I need to come in here and do anything, it's real easy to just take them down or do whatever. And it just goes up pretty quickly, as long as I get it lined up right. All right, I think that was everything, guys. I'm sorry that this was so long. Hopefully you were able to bear with me, though. Okay, I will talk to you again another time. Bye.